Nice to meet you. I'm teacher Brittany. I'm going to share my screen and introduce myself a little bit. Okay, so my name is Miss Brittany. I have two children. My daughter is Camilla and she's 6 months old. And my son is Remington and he is 2.5. I am an animal lover. I have two dogs, which you could see right here. One is a miniature dachshund. She's very old. She turned 15 this year. And the other is a husky, and she is just under a year old. So this is Farah and Mishka. And then I also have two cats. This cat here, his name is Kai, and he is an exotic breed because he is mixed between a domestic house cat and a serval. They're called Savannahs for the mixture. So I'm deeply passionate about teaching science. I've taught science at the middle grade level for about 6 years. As you can see, I love animals, and in addition to my normal pets, my cats and dogs, I also have a miniature zoo at my house. So I have a few monkeys, these marmosets. They're very small, full grown, about this big. They have cute little faces and little hands that love to touch things. And then I also have a ring-tailed lemur, which we will talk a little bit about lemurs today. They're from Madagascar, which is an island off the coast of Africa. And then I have a kinkajou, and these are called honey bears because they have a very long tongue that they love to eat nectar and honey. All right, so I am located in South Florida, which is way down here, close to the equator. So we stay warm pretty much all year. Even in the winter, it only gets down to maybe the 50s if it does get cold at all. Let me open up my chat box, and I would like to see, where are you from? Can you write in the chat box, where are you located? I see William's from Shanghai. Hi, William. Bella's from Beijing. Hello, Bella. Lisa's from Shanghai as well. Hello, Lisa. Oh, Ellie from Shanghai. Nice to meet you, Ellie. Billy. I believe that's pronounced Yantai. I'm not certain where that is. Nice to meet you, Billy. Okay, we've got David. Welcome, David. Is there anybody else who would like to share where they're from? Oh, Ivan. He does not want to share. That's okay. Hello, Ivan. Sophia's from Shanghai. It is wonderful to meet all of you today. Oh, Ivan's from Hong Kong. Wonderful. We have Nina from Shanghai, Oscar from Beijing. Hi. Ivan. I'm not certain where that is from. Ah, Hong Kong. From Ivanland. Welcome. Well, I am very excited to share some science with all of you today. Let's go ahead and look at the book that we will be covering. Okay, so the book we're going to read today is Where on Earth Do Animals Live? And this book covers all of the different habitats across Earth and talks about the animals that live in those habitats. We are going to focus on something called adaptations. Some of you may be familiar with this word. We're going to focus on how different animals adapt to each of their individual habitats. So let's go ahead and get into the book. So here we see a nice polar bear. Where do polar bears live? Can you type for me? Anyone have an idea of where polar bears might live? Yes, Lisa says polar bears live in the North Pole. So does Billy. Perfect. You are correct. So polar bears do live in the North Pole, and it is very cold. Yolanda in the Arctic, exactly. Very good. I see we already have some science buffs here. Okay. Here is a nice map of all the different habitats that we're seeing on Earth. So it says animals on Earth. Animals live all over Earth. The natural places where they live are called habitats. Animals adapt or become suited to the habitat in which they live. So it's saying each of these animals, depending on the habitat that they live in, they're going to adapt or change over a very long time to be better suited or to be better able to survive in that specific habitat, because not all of these habitats are the same. We talked about the polar bears living in the Arctic, and that's very cold. But what about animals like the camel that lives in the desert? What's the climate like in the desert? Can you write for me? What is the climate like in the desert? Oh, Austin says it's hot. Yes, exactly. Lisa, it's very hot. Yeah, so an animal living in the desert is going to have to be definitely different. Yolanda and Bella, very hot. Yes, we have dry. Exactly. So these animals are going to have to be different in order to live somewhere like a desert in Africa than they would in the Arctic. Very good, guys. Okay, so Earth's continents. Habitats can be found on every continent or huge area of land on Earth. Earth's 7 continents, from largest to smallest, are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia, and Oceania. So that's talking about the different oceans. Not every animal lives on a continent. Where else could these animals live if they don't live on a continent? What do you think? Where could animals live? It's not on a continent. Okay, so some might live on ice. Good. Where else? So these are the continents, these colors. Yes, in the ocean, in the water. Very good. So not all animals live on land. We have a lot of animals that live in the oceans and in the water that is all over Earth. So let's take a look at some adaptations. Now, first, we're going to look at what we call physical adaptations. This is the way an animal is made, built, or how it looks. So this is an example here. A giraffe has a very long tongue that helps it to reach food high up in the trees. This is a physical adaptation. So it is the tongue length is an adaptation that helps that animal to survive better. Can you think of another adaptation for a giraffe? What is another adaptation that a giraffe has? Let's see in the chat box what you think. I see their long necks. Yes, William, long necks. Lisa, long necks. Thank you. So the giraffes have these very, very long necks. that help them get to the trees, and they can eat the leaves off the trees because there's not a whole lot of trees in the desert. So the giraffes need a way to get to those leaves to eat them. Yes, Lisa, exactly. They help them reach the high trees. Perfect. So these are physical adaptations. Let's watch a video to see how animals adapt.
This is the gerenuk, a type of African antelope. It feeds on the spiky acacia plant. It has a special trick to reach the higher branches. Its hip joints are so flexible, its backbone can swivel until the gerenuk is able to stand completely upright on its back legs. Once in position, the animal's slender head and incredibly bendy tongue allow it to nibble the tiny leaves between the thorny branches. The hip joints, slender head, and bendy tongue all help the gerenuk survive in its environment. Features that help organisms survive are called adaptations. Polar bears have many adaptations that help them survive in the cold Arctic. They have a thick coat of fur made up of hollow hairs. Because they are hollow, these hairs not only keep the bears warm, but help them stay afloat. Their small ears help keep the water out and stop their eardrums freezing. And the long hairs between the pads on their feet help them grip the ice. Plants have adaptations too. The leaves of the Venus flytrap help it survive in soils which don't have many nutrients. The plant is able to get extra nutrients from the insects it catches and digests. Unfortunately, the ladybird does not have an adaptation that allows it to escape.
Okay, so here we have adaptations are features that help an organism survive. Excellent. Let's open that chat box back up. What was one adaptation that you saw in that video? Oh, I didn't see. Austin said long legs for the giraffe as well. Very good. Okay, so the question is, what is one adaptation that you saw in that video? We can get a few people to answer. So grassland, that's still talking about where the giraffe lives, but we're looking at that video. We saw a gerenuk, we saw the polar bear, and we saw, okay, small nose for the polar bear. I could see that. Polar bears have thick fur. Yes, those would both be adaptations. Yolanda, they live in the Arctic, polar bears do, but the adaptation, what helps them live in the Arctic? So what keeps them from freezing? Oh, yes, they have the little ears that keep their eardrums from freezing. Very good. Blubber and fur. Good job. These definitely keep the polar bears nice and warm. If we went to the Arctic, we would not survive without some big coats to keep us warm. Excellent. So let's look at some other examples of physical adaptations. Over here, we have the type of body covering can be a physical adaptation. So we have some animals that have fur, some have feathers that are physical adaptations, so different birds, and some animals have scales. Okay, another physical adaptation could be color. So it could be the patterns on the animal's feathers, could be camouflage, which is a color or pattern that allows the animal to hide in its environment. We will cover that more later in our lesson. It could be a body part. So like in the giraffe, the tongue or the neck. Could be claws, beak, antler, ears, or even in the polar bear's case, like blubber to keep them warm. Oh, hello, Henry. Okay, there's another type of physical adaptation, and it can be used for defenses. So to keep it safe from predators. It could be spray. In this case, this is a skunk, and the skunks spray anything that is trying to attack them. Could be quills like a porcupine, or venom like a snake has fangs with venom. All right, let's go back to our book. Okay, so in this book, you will learn about the habitats you see on this map. So we've got plenty of different types of habitats all across the world. In North America, you're seeing wetlands and mountain habitats, among many others. You're seeing some polar deserts, or we call that the Arctic, up north. Europe, you see some mixed forests. Africa, we're seeing deserts and savannas, which are grassland habitats. There's many ocean habitats all around the world. South America is known for their rainforests. I've been to Costa Rica one time, and the rainforest is absolutely beautiful. The sounds in the rainforest are so loud because there's so many animals and birds chirping and monkeys whooping and howling. It's a very neat thing to experience. We're also seeing like Asia has northern forests, mountains. There's islands and island habitats. Australia has a lot of grassland habitats. Oh, here's a ringtail lemur. So this is the island of Madagascar. That is one of the pets of mine, is a ringtail lemur. You will also see that 5 oceans surround the continents. What are some of the names of the oceans? Let's see in that chat again. What are some of these oceans that we see around the world? Ah, Yolanda, Pacific Ocean. Yes, that one is located right over here. What's another ocean? The Atlantic Ocean. Good. The Atlantic Ocean is in between Europe, Africa, North America, and South America. Bella says the Indian Ocean. Exactly. That one's located over here by Asia and Africa. Awesome. Pacific Ocean. Good. So not only is the Pacific Ocean located over here, it goes all the way around and connects. So it's in between Asia and North America. Nina, yes, the Arctic Ocean is snug way up here, nice and cold. There's, let's see, one ocean we're missing. This one down here, the Southern Ocean. All right, perfect. You guys did awesome. Okay, why do animals adapt? Animals adapt to find food, survive in hot, cold, or dry habitats, escape danger, and to stay safe. The bodies of some animals change. Animals that live in cold habitats, for example, grow thick fur to stay warm. That's like our polar bear that has that thick, hollow fur that keeps it warm even when it's swimming in freezing cold water. Other animals change the way that they live. Squirrel monkeys, for example, learned long ago to climb trees to keep safe from predators in the forest. A predator is an animal that hunts and eats other animals. So we have two different kinds of adaptations. We have a physical adaptation, so that some part of their body is going to change, or we have how they behave. So a behavioral adaptation, for example, like the monkey that climbs the trees. So they may have a physical adaptation in their hands that let them climb the trees, and behavioral is the act of climbing. So these birds, for example, have a behavioral adaptation. They do what we call migrate. So they fly to warmer places depending on the seasons. So these birds are geese, and they're Canadian geese. They like to fly to warmer areas when it gets too cold in Canada. Now the fennec fox has big long ears, and these long ears allow heat to escape from its body so it can keep cool in its hot desert home. Okay, the first habitat we are going to look at is a hot desert habitat. So deserts are areas that get less than 10 inches or 25 centimeters of rain or snow a year. That's not a lot of precipitation or rain or snow. They can be found on every continent. Some deserts are very hot and some are freezing cold. The Sahara Desert is in Africa, and it is the biggest hot desert. Animals have adapted to living with very little water. So this camel is an example of an animal that lives in a hot desert. And you see this hump right here is their adaptation. So camels store fat in humps on their backs. Their bodies use the fat when food and water are hard to find. Is this hump a physical adaptation or a behavioral adaptation? What do you think? Is that physical, the change in its body, or behavioral? William says physical. Very good, William. So it's not something that they're doing in their behavior to survive. It's something that has changed in their body. Lisa, physical, exactly. Good job, guys. Okay, so there's another animal we're going to look at, which is the meerkats. These have a behavioral adaptation. So animals that live in deserts must find enough food and water to stay alive. Meerkats in the Kalahari Desert in Africa, which has more plants and animals than the Sahara, they have adapted to desert life by living in large groups or families. They help one another find food, they take care of babies, and they guard their homes from predators. So this meerkat is standing on guard. When it sees a predator, the guard will let out a loud call to warn the others of danger. Let's watch a quick video on meerkats. They are so cute and such very smart little animals.
Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came.
We have to give it just a second for the ad. There are plenty of animals that show both behavioral and physical adaptations to live in hot deserts.
What's the most interesting fact about meerkats? Probably not their interest in sunsets, like this one in the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa. Lots of animals, even humans, would love a sunset like this. It might be the markings under their eyes. Did you know those dark markings act like sunglasses, allowing the meerkats to see in the harsh desert light?
Here's another interesting fact. Since meerkats are perfect snack size for predators like eagles and jackals, one meerkat and sometimes more always stand guard for the mob. A mob of meerkats, that's actually the name used by naturalists, is a meerkat social group from 5 to 30 members. Here the mob gathers to observe the deadly puff adder. By the way, meerkats are fiercely territorial and will fight to defend their turf from snakes or other meerkat mobs. Speaking of territorial, once they've staked out a territory, they use their 4-digit claws to dig burrows and tunnels where they'll sleep after a hard day of hunting. Meerkats grow to a length of 12 inches, weigh about 2 pounds, and are members of the mongoose family. They like to wrestle. This habit begins at an early age. Interesting, but the most interesting fact about meerkats is what they love to eat. These cute little critters love to eat scorpions. They're immune to the venom. First, the meerkat bites off the stinger. Good move. And then it's time to tie on the feed bag. If scorpions aren't available, meerkats will also dine on anything they can overpower. Beetles, spiders, even lizards. But for a meerkat, nothing beats the crunchy goodness of a freshly killed scorpion. And who can argue? Although, well, a little ketchup might help.
Okay, so we see that meerkats have so many different adaptations. They have a number of physical and behavioral adaptations.
A family of meerkats.
Let's get off of that one. Okay, so they have a handful of behavioral and physical adaptations. In the chat box, what is one adaptation that you saw a meerkat has that helps it to survive in the desert? One adaptation. Let's see what you guys got from that video. Okay, Yolanda says they have less fur. William, they're immune to poison from the scorpions, exactly. Lisa, yes, its eyes are like sunglasses. It has those dark spots right underneath so it can see in that bright, bright sun. So I'm seeing these are physical adaptations. Very good. Did anybody see any behavioral adaptations that help them to survive? What are some of the things that they do that help them survive in the desert? I'll give you another second. Nina, they dig holes, yes. So they burrow underground, and they have claws that help them to dig the holes. William, they have meerkat guards. That is a behavioral adaptation that helps to keep them safe. JJ said that as well. Very good. So we have both physical and behavioral adaptations. Lisa, they can dig holes to sleep. Exactly. So all of these things come together to help these small animals survive in their desert habitat. Without these adaptations, they wouldn't do so well living in a very hot habitat. Okay, let's see what other habitats we have to explore. Okay, the next habitat we're going to look at is icy polar habitat. So we've looked at this a little bit already. It says polar bears, Arctic foxes, and many other animals live in the Arctic, which these were the regions near the poles, so along the top and the bottom poles of Earth. And many other animals live in the Arctic, which is a very cold desert in the northern part of the Earth. Their thick fur and fat keep them warm. So this is an example of an Arctic fox. Arctic foxes are dark gray in the summer and white in the winter. The color of their fur helps them to hide from predators in each season. If the fox stayed white all year long when it was green, it would have a very hard time not sticking out. Down here, polar bears have developed large paws. Their paws are huge to keep them from slipping on the snow. So they have their own snow boots, basically, which allow them to walk on the snow easily. Cold Antarctica. Antarctica is a continent in the southern part of Earth. Few people live in this cold desert, but it is home to many kinds of penguins. Here's some penguins here. They're very interesting animals because penguins are birds with wings, but they cannot fly. They use their wings to swim instead. All right, we have a video that I wanted to share with you on the Arctic or polar habitats. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Here we go.
Where are you going, Moby? You're going to the Arctic. What is the Arctic? The Arctic is the area around the North Pole. The Arctic includes the Arctic Ocean and parts of Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. The Arctic even includes a part of the United States, Alaska. You can find rivers, mountains, forests, and prairies in the Arctic. There are also a lot of glaciers, which are large bodies of ice that move very slowly. The Arctic can get very, very cold. Well, in some places, the temperature can get down to 0 degrees Celsius. But during the Arctic winter, the temperature drops below 0 to about negative 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's cold.
It takes 1 year for Earth to orbit the sun. Our planet is tilted at an angle. Sunlight hits parts of the Earth in different ways as it orbits the sun. During the summer, the Arctic is tilted toward the sun. Most parts of the Arctic get many hours of sunlight. In some Arctic places, it doesn't get dark all summer. During the Arctic winter, the Arctic is tilted away from the sun. Many parts of the Arctic get just a few hours of sunlight. In some parts, there's no sunlight at all in the winter, and it stays dark for months. Good question, Moby. How do plants survive in the Arctic? The Arctic gets freezing cold, so plants have different ways to live in their environment. In the colder months, seeds stay below the ice. When the weather gets warmer, seeds sprout and grow quickly before it gets cold again. In some parts of the Arctic, the soil stays frozen underground. So the roots of many plants don't grow very deep. Many Arctic plants grow low to the ground, so they're safe from strong winds. Some even have fuzzy hairs that help protect them from the cold. So, how do animals survive in the Arctic? Animals in the Arctic have adapted to their cold environment. Some animals, like the musk ox, grow thick fur in the winter to stay warm. Walruses, seals, and whales in the Arctic grow thick layers of fat called blubber, which help keep them warm. Food can be hard to find during Arctic winters, but animals have ways to survive. Some Arctic animals, like caribou, migrate to warmer places to find food. Polar bears hunt for whales, seals, and walruses. But hunting can be difficult in the Arctic, so polar bears have adapted to go without food for months. Some animals, like the Arctic fox and Arctic hare, use camouflage to help them stay safe. How do people survive in the Arctic? There are different groups of people who live around the North Pole. The Inuit are communities of people from the Arctic areas of Canada, Greenland, and Alaska. Some Inuit people still use dog sleds to travel across land and build kayaks or boats to hunt for sea animals. The Sami are communities of people from the Arctic areas of Northern Europe. Some herd reindeer and fish. How is the Arctic changing? People are making big changes to the environment, which are making temperatures on Earth go up. Glaciers, icebergs, and sea ice in the Arctic are melting. And the habitats of many Arctic plants and animals are changing. If a lot of ice melts, the sea might rise higher. This can cause problems for people and many land habitats. Melting ice can also cause temperatures in the ocean to change, which will affect many living things. Changes in the Arctic can change the whole planet. Moby, I'm not sure if you're ready to visit the Arctic. Don't you need a jacket? That's your winter coat?
And Moby's white to be camouflaged. Okay, so there were many different adaptations discussed in that video. There were some physical adaptations of animals like the whales and seals with the blubber, the camouflage of the Arctic fox and the Arctic hare turning white in the winter. I saw some behavioral adaptations, which is how the polar bear hunts. Let's go ahead and take the quiz for this one. So I will read through the questions, and in the chat box, you put your answer, whether you think the answer is going to be A, B, C, or D.
Start.
Okay, question number 1. How does this animal stay warm in the Arctic Ocean? A, it grows a coat of thick fur. B, it buries itself under the soil. C, it uses camouflage to hide. Or D, it has a thick layer of blubber. Okay, I'm seeing I've got answers from William, JJ, Lisa, Yolanda. Anybody else want to cast their vote? What you think the answer is? It seems overwhelmingly everyone says D. It has a thick layer of blubber. Great job. Next question. Why might some Arctic plants grow hairs? So look at these hairs. A, to stay warm in cold weather. B, to hide from insects and birds. C, to move to new places to grow. Or D, to help them grow sweet fruit. Why might these plants grow hairs? Okay, I'm seeing I've got William, Yolanda, Lisa, Bella. Looks like we are all saying D again, to help them grow sweet fruit. Is that going to help them in the cold Arctic? Oh, let's see. William says, oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one in the chat box. A! Yes, we're all saying A. Very good. To stay warm in cold weather. Excellent. Question 3. Which season is the darkest in the Arctic with only a few hours of sunlight a day? Is it fall, winter, summer, or spring? All right, Nina, William, JJ, Bella. I'm seeing everybody. Oh, you guys are so smart. Everybody is saying B, winter. Good job. What might happen if ocean temperatures go up? A, the oceans would start to freeze. B, land animals would grow thick fur. C, icebergs would get bigger in the sea. Or D, Arctic habitats would change. Okay, I'm seeing plenty of answers. Everybody says D, Arctic animals habitats would change. Yes, excellent job. Last question. Why do polar bears have white fur? A, to help them grow strong and big. B, to help them swim in the ocean. To help them blend in their habitat, or to help them find other polar bears. Answers are coming in. We see Yolanda, William, Lisa, Bella, Nina. Who else did I miss? Okay, everybody, Jerry, everyone says C, to help them blend in their habitat. Very good. You guys did amazing. You got 5 out of 5. Great job. All right, let's look at the next habitat. Ooh, these are mountain habitats. So mountain animals. Mountains are areas of rocky land that rise high above the ground. Most mountains have steep sides. Trees and other plants grow on mountains, except at the very tops, which are usually covered in snow. So some animals that live on mountains are mountain lions, goats, bears, wolves, yaks, and guanacos. Here is an example over here of a mountain animal, and it is a mountain goat that has hooves with toes that help them to grip steep slopes. I find these animals very interesting because even the smallest little babies are climbing these steep mountains, which is so hard to watch. I have a video that I wanted to show you of these mountain goats.
These guys are some of the most sure-footed animals on Earth. Baby mountain goats have to catch on quick. Just days after birth, they make this treacherous terrain their playground. Sharp, cloven hooves find tiny holds in the rock face. And strong legs power them up the mountainside. Climbing like this takes lots of practice, even in the zoo.
Let's get past this part.
You feel that? Rock. I don't get it. Dismount. Good. Going uphill and be the rock.
Perfect, but goats are natural-born rock climbers. They can scale a 60-degree incline of sheer rock. Even on terrain this steep, male marker goats keep their footing as they battle for breeding rights. Perfecting this footwork could be key to a young goat's success.
Okay, so there we saw some physical adaptations to mountain habitat, which were these cloven hooves, that they have these toes that allow them to grip. And then their behavioral adaptation is to climb these mountains. So they do that in order to stay safe from predators. If they live in these areas that nothing else really can survive or don't have the ability to climb, then they're able to live and reproduce and not worry about too many predators. Let's see. Yolanda, physical. So their physical would be the hooves that they have. That is their physical adaptation. Their hooves are specifically adapted to help them climb these rocky areas. So they help them to find tiny little footholds in those rocks. And then the behavioral, so the behavior that they've learned to do is to climb up. Okay, our next habitat that we are going to look at is forest habitats. Now, forest habitats have a special place in my heart because the animals that I have all live in different types of forests. So the marmoset monkeys, the kinkajou, as well as the lemur that I have all live in forests. So a forest is a habitat where many trees and other plants grow. Some forests are in parts of the world where the weather is always hot and it rains every day. These forests are called rainforests. The Amazon rainforest in South America is the biggest rainforest in the world. It has many kinds of birds, monkeys, and other animals. The beautiful birds, like this parrot, live in the Amazon rainforest. They eat seeds, fruits, and leaves. And you can see this parrot has a couple different adaptations. I can see a couple physical adaptations just by looking at the bird. It has very pretty colored feathers. It has a large, strong beak that helps it to eat. So this one's saying camouflage. For this specific bird, it actually does the opposite of camouflage. So rather than blending into its environment, it has these bright, vibrant colors, which is still a physical adaptation, but it allows it to stand out. And that helps it to find a mate when it's looking to reproduce. Good question, Yolanda. Thank you. Northern forests. Although forests do not grow in cold areas such as the Arctic and Antarctica, there are many forests in the northern parts of Earth. Trees with needles and cones grow in these forests. We call those pine trees here. Mixed forests. Mixed forests have trees with flat leaves as well as trees with needles. They grow in parts of the earth that have 4 seasons. The flat leaves change color and drop off in autumn, but trees with needles stay green even in the winter. So this is what we call the changing of seasons. When we see fall, all the trees turn these beautiful colors, and then we have green trees that stay green the whole time. They have those needles. Much like if you're familiar with the Christmas tree, is a northern tree that grows, that stays green all year. So let's look at some of these animals in the forest. You have the raccoon, a red fox, a bobcat. There's black bears in the tree. Okay, so I do have a video that I wanted to show you of the cute little raccoons. In Florida, there are plenty of raccoons to see.
The raccoon is a common sight across North America, found in forests, prairies, and wetlands. Not particularly fast or strong or deadly, the raccoon's main advantage lies in its adaptability. It's at home climbing trees and swimming in the water. A keen sense of smell helps it find food. With its nimble hands, it will collect berries and nuts, hunt for crayfish, frogs, and other small animals, and even steal crops and eggs. Birds' nests are a favorite of raccoons. These two, though, have found something bigger and riskier. A nest of crocodile eggs in Florida Everglades. Raccoons usually hunt alone, but there's enough food here to go around. The unopened eggs are quickly eaten. One hatchling manages to break free and makes a defensive stand. With an already full belly, the raccoon makes a half-hearted attempt to catch it, but it prefers a meal that doesn't fight back. An easy food source for raccoons is available wherever there are people and their trash. As their natural habitats shrink, raccoons are relocating into towns, suburbs, and cities. In fact, they thrive near people. The highest population densities are in urban areas, which shows how adaptable and wide-ranging the raccoon can be.
All right, so raccoons are adorable little animals, but they are very adapted and they continue to adapt with their behavior. So some physical adaptations. What are some physical adaptations you noticed with this raccoon that helps it to survive in its habitat? Yes, the fur is camouflaged. Good. So they have this gray color that helps them to blend in the forest and the trees. When they climb up the trunk of the tree, they blend in. Excellent. What else? A couple adaptations we see. Did you notice how they were touching so many things? What could that be? They picked up the eggs to eat them. They have these perfectly adapted hands or paws that allow them to pick things up, and they love to touch all kinds of things. Another adaptation, which is behavioral, is they have started to look for humans. So they live near humans and they go through the trash of the humans so they don't have to hunt for food. Okay, we see their claws are not poisonous, but they do have good claws that help them to climb as well as catch their prey. Very good. Okay, so next we have grassland habitats. The grasslands are areas where grasses, small plants, and few trees grow. In areas with 4 seasons, grasslands are called plains or prairies. We have plenty of those in North America. Many kinds of animals live in grasslands where there is plenty of food to eat. Then there are savanna animals. Savannas are grasslands in areas that have only a wet season and a dry season. Some trees also grow there. Animals that live on the savannas in Africa include giraffes, elephants, zebras, cheetahs, gazelles, and lions. Some savanna animals eat only plants and some hunt each other. Okay, so this is where we're going to stop for the moment and open up to see, does anybody have any questions?
Hi, I would like
Hello,
to
Jane.
ask what that goat ate.
Oh, that is a great question. So there's not a lot of food on the mountains, but there are small amounts of plants, and that's what they eat. So they do have to cover large areas in order to get enough food for the whole group of animals or the whole group of goats. That's an excellent question, JJ. And that's one of their
What plants do they eat?
trade-offs. I'm sorry, say that again.
What plants do they eat? Can you tell me a name?
We can look it up. There are different types of mountain goats. So there would be different types of plants specific to the mountains that they live on. But let's go ahead and take a look. Let's move this out of the way. What type of plants do Okay, so let's see. So this is saying they consume lichens, which grow on the rocks, ferns, grasses, herbs, and shrubs, and deciduous or coniferous trees. So this again is going to be, that is a little bit more broad. If you're looking for specific, we would have to look at a specific type of mountain goat. So in exactly which habitat do they live to give us a specific name. Let's see.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Does that answer your question, JJ, or would you like me to try to look a little further?
Oh, no need. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Well, thank you so much, and I enjoyed class with everyone. Thank you for sharing, and thank you everyone for being very active in the chat. I appreciate that, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day.